Welcome back, dear friends and story lovers. Tonight we bring you a tale where love is tested, secrets come to light, and fate takes an unexpected turn. Every moment will pull you in deeper, and every choice could change everything. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments, and if this story touches your heart, like, subscribe, share it with someone who believes in true love, and hit the bell so you never miss the next chapter. Let's dig in. Asterisk. The scent of expensive cologne and champagne hung heavy in the Metropolitan Art Gallery as rain drummed against the floor-to-ceiling windows. Leonardo Montenegro adjusted his platinum watch, the weight of it familiar against his wrist. At 32, he commanded a technology empire worth billions, yet tonight felt different. The charity exhibition for underprivileged children seemed more meaningful than his usual social obligations, though he couldn't quite say why. Thunder rolled overhead as Leonardo moved through the crowded gallery with practiced ease. His charcoal suit, tailored to perfection, commanded respect from every person he passed. Business associates nodded with knowing smiles. Socialites offered calculated warmth. Investors sought his attention with barely concealed desperation. But something felt hollow about this familiar dance of wealth and influence. Then he saw her. Away from the main crowd in a forgotten corner dedicated to student artwork, a young woman stood alone. She wore a simple navy dress that complemented her warm brown eyes, her long dark hair falling naturally over her shoulders. While everyone else performed the careful choreography of high society, she studied a painting with genuine absorption. Leonardo found himself drawn toward her. Abandoning a conversation with a pharmaceutical heiress mid-sentence, the student artwork section lacked the polish of the professional pieces, but these paintings radiated something more precious than technique. They held raw emotion, untainted by commercial considerations. One painting stopped him completely. It showed a small girl feeding birds in a park, but the way light danced across the canvas spoke of hope triumphing over hardship. The signature read, C. Rivera in delicate script. Beautiful, isn't it? The young woman said softly, noticing his attention. The light tells a story. Leonardo turned to study her face. Her smile held genuine warmth rather than the calculated charm he encountered daily. Yes, it does. You familiar with the artist? She laughed, a sound like wind chimes. You should be. I painted it. The artist behind the magic. Leonardo extended his hand. Leonardo Montenegro? Camila Rivera. Her handshake was firm, unpracticed in the art of social manipulation. I teach art at Lincoln Elementary School. This piece represents one of my students who comes from a very difficult home situation, but she never loses her kindness toward others. Leonardo found himself genuinely intrigued. You captured something special here. The way you've used light to suggest resilience is remarkable. Camila's eyes lit up with surprise. Most people see it as just a simple painting. You understand art? I studied fine arts before technology consumed my life, Leonardo admitted, revealing more about himself than he typically shared with strangers. Though I've lost touch with that part of myself. As they moved through the student section, their conversation flowed with unexpected ease. Camila spoke passionately about her students, their struggles, and their incredible capacity for creativity, despite their circumstances. Leonardo found himself drawn to her authenticity in a world where every interaction felt scripted. Would you join me for dinner? Leonardo asked, as the gallery began to empty. I know a quiet place where we can continue our conversation. Camila hesitated, glancing down at her simple dress. I'm not really dressed for expensive restaurants. You're dressed perfectly, Leonardo assured her, meaning every word. But as they walked toward the exit, Leonardo's phone buzzed with a text message. The name on the screen made his blood run cold. Victor Kozlov. Your little art teacher is prettier than the photos suggested. Enjoy your evening, Montenegro. Tomorrow, we discuss our arrangement. Leonardo's hand trembled almost imperceptibly as he deleted the message. Camila noticed nothing, chatting excitedly about her student's upcoming art show. She had no idea that her name had been in a file on Victor's desk for 3 weeks. She had no idea that her mother Rosa's hospital shifts were being monitored. She had no idea that every detail of her quiet life in Millbrook had been catalogued and weaponized. Most importantly, she had no idea that Leonardo Montenegro wasn't just a tech billionaire. He was also the reluctant heir to the largest money laundering operation on the East Coast. And Viktor Kozlov owned enough evidence to destroy not just Leonardo's empire, but his freedom. As they stepped out into the rain, Camila slipped her arm. Through his with innocent trust, Leonardo's chest tightened with the weight of what he knew was coming. The restaurant Leonardo chose surprised Camila. Instead of an exclusive establishment, he took her to a family-owned Italian place where the owner greeted him warmly. The atmosphere was intimate without being overwhelming, and the food was exceptional. Without being pretentious, "This isn't what I expected," Camila confessed as they settled into their corner table, candlelight flickering between them. "What did you expect? Something flashier? More expensive? Isn't that what wealthy people prefer?" Leonardo considered her question seriously, though his mind kept drifting to Victor's message. Wealth often separates you from authentic experiences. This place reminds me of simpler times, when taste mattered more than price. As dinner progressed, Camila shared stories about her life in Millbrook. She described her students, her modest apartment above the bakery, and her dreams of opening a community art center. Her mother Rosa worked double shifts at the local hospital to support Camila's education, never asking for anything in return. "She sounds remarkable," Leonardo said, though the name Rosa Rivera made his stomach clench. Victor's file contained her work schedule, her route home, even the medication she took for her arthritis. She sacrificed everything so I could follow my dreams." Camila's voice carried deep affection. "What about your family?" Leonardo's expression darkened. "My parents died in a car accident when I was 25. I threw myself into work afterward. It was easier than dealing with the grief." Camila reached across the table and touched his hand briefly. The gesture was simple but comforting, in a way that expensive gifts and elaborate gestures had never been. After dinner, they walked through the quiet city streets. The rain had stopped, leaving the pavement gleaming under the streetlights. Leonardo found himself slowing his usual brisk pace to match Camila's more relaxed rhythm. "I should head back to my hotel," Camila said as they reached the corner where their paths would diverge. "I have a long drive tomorrow." "Stay another day," Leonardo suggested spontaneously. "Let me show you the city properly." Camila studied his face in the soft glow of the street lamp. "This feels very fast." "Sometimes the best things happen quickly," Leonardo replied, then caught himself. "I don't usually say things like that." "But you meant it." Leonardo arranged for Camila to stay in a suite at his hotel. He walked her to her door, fighting every instinct that told him to push for more. Something about Camila demanded his respect in ways he hadn't experienced before. "Thank you for tonight," Camila said softly. "It was magical. Thank you for reminding me that magic still exists." They stood close enough that Leonardo could smell her subtle perfume, could see the trust in her eyes. When he leaned down to kiss her cheek goodnight, she turned slightly, and their lips met instead. The kiss was gentle, tentative, but it carried the weight of genuine emotion. When they separated, both seemed surprised by the intensity of the moment. Leonardo waited until he heard the lock click before walking to the elevator. But instead of going to his penthouse, he took a service elevator to the parking garage. A black sedan waited in the shadows, engine running. Viktor Kozlov sat in the back seat like a spider in silk. Even in the dim light, his pale eyes gleamed with malicious intelligence. Scars from old knife fights traced white lines across his knuckles. "She's lovely," Victor said without preamble. "Very innocent." "That will make this more interesting." "Leave her out of this," Leonardo said, sliding into the seat across from him. "Our business has nothing to do with her." Victor laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Everything has to do with everyone, Montenegro. You should know this by now." He pulled out a thick manila folder. "Rosa Rivera, age 51. Age 51, cardiac nurse at Millbrook General. Takes the 11 p.m. shift on weekdays. Walks alone to her car through the poorly lit parking garage." Leonardo's hands clenched into fists. "You son of a bitch." The photographs from your father's offshore accounts are getting tiresome to hide, Victor continued conversationally. Federal investigators are very persistent these days. They're particularly interested in technology companies that might be washing money through cryptocurrency exchanges. I told you I'm working on liquidating those assets. It takes time too. Do it without raising flags. Time is a luxury, my friend. You have 2 weeks to transfer $50 million to my Cayman account, or those photographs find their way to the FBI. Victor's smile was razor-thin. And if you're thinking of running, remember that Rosa Rivera walks alone through that parking garage every night. Leonardo felt his world tilting. His father had built the technology company as a front for laundering money for the Russian mob. When his parents died, Leonardo had inherited both the legitimate business and the criminal obligations. He'd spent 7 years trying to untangle himself from Victor's web. But every time he thought he was close to freedom, the spider pulled the strands tighter. 2 weeks, Victor repeated. Don't disappoint me, Montenegro. I've grown rather fond of your little art teacher. It would be a shame if something happened to her mother. As the sedan disappeared into the night, Leonardo stood alone in the garage, his breath visible in the cold air. Above him, 30 floors up, Camila was probably getting ready for bed. Trusting and innocent and completely unaware that her life had just become currency in a game she didn't know existed. His phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Sweet dreams, Leonardo. Give my regards to Camila. V attached was a photograph of Camila entering her hotel room, taken just minutes ago. The next morning, Leonardo called Camila before she could leave for home. His voice carried a desperation he hoped she couldn't detect. Come with me to my lake house this weekend. No pressure. Just time to get to know each other better. Leonardo, I barely know you. That's exactly why I'm asking. I want to know you. Really know you. And I want you to know the real me, not the public version. After a long pause, Camila agreed. Something in his voice convinced her that this wasn't a casual proposition, but a genuine invitation to explore their connection. She had no way of knowing that Leonardo was buying time, desperately hoping to figure out how to protect her from Victor's web. Leonardo's lake house was beautiful, but not ostentatious. Surrounded by tall pines and overlooking crystal-clear water, it felt more like a retreat than a display of wealth. Camila appreciated the thoughtfulness of the setting. They spent the day walking forest trails, preparing meals together, and sharing stories by the fireplace. Leonardo cooked breakfast while Camila painted watercolor sketches of the lake. The domestic simplicity felt revolutionary to both of them. But Leonardo's phone kept buzzing with messages he couldn't ignore. Work emergency, he apologized repeatedly. Stepping onto the deck to take calls that made his face grow pale and his jaw tight, the truth was far worse than work. Victor's demands had escalated. Photos now showed not just Rosa Rivera's daily routine, but Camila's as well. Pictures of her apartment, her school, her morning jogs through Millbrook's quiet streets. The message was clear. Victor could reach anyone, anywhere, anytime. As evening approached, the atmosphere between them grew more intimate. They sat on the deck watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant colors. Camila found herself opening up about her fears and dreams, while Leonardo fought the urge to confess everything. You seem troubled, Camila said softly, noting the tension in his shoulders. You've been distracted all day. It's just business complications, Leonardo lied. Nothing that can't be handled. But when his phone rang again, the caller ID made his blood freeze. Rosa Rivera. With shaking hands, he answered. Camila's mother's voice was tight with fear. Is this Leonardo Montenegro? Someone told me to call this number, they said. They said if I wanted to keep Camila safe, I needed to deliver a message. Camila noticed the change in Leonardo's expression immediately. What's wrong? Who is that? Leonardo held up a finger, walking further away. Rosa, are you hurt? Are you safe? I'm fine, but they know everything about us. They know Camila is with you. They said to tell you that time is running short and that love makes people vulnerable. They said you'd understand. The line went dead. Leonardo stood frozen on the deck, the phone still pressed to his ear. Behind him, Camila approached with growing concern. Leonardo, what's happening? You look like you've seen a ghost. He turned to face her, his mind racing through impossible options. He could tell her the truth and destroy her innocence. He could lie and hope to handle Victor alone, or he could do what every survival instinct screamed at him to do: run, and hope Victor would lose interest if Leonardo disappeared. But one look at Camila's trusting face made the choice clear. She deserved to know what she was walking into. Camila, sit down. I need to tell you something, and it's going to change everything between us. She sank into the deck chair, her artist's intuition already reading the gravity in his expression. I'm not just a technology entrepreneur. My father built our company as a front for money laundering operations. When he died, I inherited both, the legitimate business and the criminal obligations. Camila's face went white. What are you saying? I'm saying that there's a very dangerous man named Victor Kozlov who owns evidence that could send me to prison for the rest of my life. And he's using you and your mother as leverage to force my cooperation. The words hung in the air between them like poison. Camila stood up slowly, backing away from him. You're telling me that I'm in danger because I met you? Camila, please. I never wanted this to happen. I've been trying to get out of this life for years, but Victor won't let go. My mother, is she safe? For now. But Victor is watching both of you. He knows your routines, your vulnerabilities. He's made it clear that if I don't cooperate, people I care about will pay the price. Camila's eyes filled with tears, but they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of rage. You knew this when you asked me to dinner. You knew this when you brought me here. Yes. So what am I? Bait? A distraction, a way to buy yourself more time. Leonardo stepped toward her, his hands outstretched. You're the first real thing that's happened to me in 7 years. You're the reason I want to find a way out of this nightmare. But Camila was already moving toward the house. Take me home now. Camila, if you leave now, Victor will know something's wrong. He'll assume you know the truth, and that makes you an even bigger liability. She spun around to face him, her brown eyes blazing. So now I'm trapped. I can't leave because it's dangerous, and I can't stay because you've made me a target. Before Leonardo could answer, the sound of car engines echoed through the forest. Multiple vehicles, approaching fast. Leonardo grabbed Camila's arm. Get in the house. Lock the bathroom door and don't come out until I tell you. What's happening? Victor's decided he's tired of waiting. Through the trees, headlights cut through the gathering darkness. Leonardo counted at least 3 cars, which meant Victor had brought enough men to handle any resistance. As the vehicles stopped in front of the lake house, Leonardo realized with crystal clarity that his careful plans had crumbled. Victor wasn't playing games anymore. The 2 weeks had been a lie from the beginning. The front door exploded inward. Victor Kozlov entered the lake house like a predator claiming territory. 4 armed men flanked him, their movements precise and threatening. Expensive casual clothes couldn't hide the violence that radiated from each of them. Victor called out cheerfully, as if arriving for a dinner party. Come now, don't be shy. Bring your lovely artist with you. Leonardo appeared at the top of the stairs, his hands visible and empty. She's not part of this, Victor. Our business is between us. Oh, but she is very much part of this now. Victor settled into Leonardo's leather armchair like a king on a throne. You see, I've had time to think about our arrangement, and I've realized something important. Money is temporary. Fear is forever. What do you want? I want you to stop pretending you have choices. Victor gestured to one of his men, who produced a tablet. Your Camila has been very busy today. Several phone calls to her mother, 3 attempts to contact local police, and 1 very interesting search for money laundering federal crimes. Leonardo's heart sank. You've been monitoring her phone since the moment she entered your hotel? Did you really think I would leave such variables to chance? Camila appeared at Leonardo's side, her chin raised defiantly despite the fear in her eyes. If you're going to threaten me, at least have the courtesy to do it to my face, Victor. Smiled, and the expression made Leonardo's skin crawl. Spirited. I like that. It makes breaking people so much more satisfying. What do you want from us? Camila demanded. From you, my dear, I want nothing but your presence. You're what we call motivation. From Leonardo, I want complete cooperation in expanding our little business arrangement. Victor stood and walked to the large windows overlooking the lake. You see, your boyfriend's technology company is perfect for what I have planned. Cryptocurrency exchanges, international wire transfers, digital currencies that exist only as numbers in computers. The possibilities are endless. I won't help you expand the operation, Leonardo said. I've been trying to get out, not go deeper. But that was before you had something to lose. Victor turned back to them, his pale eyes glittering. Your father understood this principle very well. Love makes men predictable. One of Victor's men whispered something in his ear. Victor nodded and smiled wider. Excellent news. Rosa Rivera has just finished her shift at the hospital. She's walking to her car now. Lone, as always. Such a dedicated nurse, working so hard to support her daughter's dreams. Camila gasped. You said she was safe. Safe is a relative term, my dear. She is safe as long as Leonardo makes intelligent decisions. Leonardo felt his world collapsing. Every scenario he'd imagined, every plan he'd considered, led to the same impossible choice: sacrifice himself completely to Victor's will, or watch innocent people pay the price for his father's sins. There's another option, Victor said, as if reading his thoughts. A demonstration of good faith, you might say. He pulled out his phone and showed them a photograph. It was a warehouse Leonardo recognized, one of his father's old properties that was supposed to have been sold years ago. Inside this building are the original financial records from your father's operations. Detailed accounts, client lists, transaction histories, everything the FBI would need to understand the full scope of our business relationship. Leonardo's mouth went dry. Those records were supposed to be destroyed. Your father was a sentimental man. He kept insurance policies. Victor pocketed the phone. Tomorrow night, you will go to this warehouse and personally burn those records, all of them. And you will do it while I watch, to ensure your complete commitment to our future together. And if I refuse? Victor's smile never wavered. Then Rosa Rivera will have a terrible accident in that dark parking garage. And Camila will learn what happens to people who know too much about my business. The room fell silent, except for the ticking of an antique clock on the mantel. Leonardo felt the weight of 7 years of careful planning, of desperate attempts to build a legitimate life, crashing down around him. The warehouse is a trap, Leonardo said quietly. You're not planning to let me destroy those records. You're planning to frame me with them. Perhaps I simply want to watch you burn the last connection to your old life, so you can embrace your new one with proper enthusiasm. Camila stepped forward, her voice steady despite her fear. I'll make you a deal. Both men turned to stare. At her? Let Leonardo and my mother go, and I'll stay with you willingly. No resistance, no attempts to escape. A life for 2 lives. Camila, no, Leonardo said sharply. You said love makes people predictable, she continued, ignoring Leonardo, so use that. I'm what Leonardo cares about. Keep me, and you'll always have leverage over him. Victor studied her with genuine interest. You would sacrifice yourself. For them? Yes. Even knowing what that sacrifice would entail? Camila's voice didn't waver. Yes. Victor clapped his hands together slowly. Magnificent. Pure selflessness is so rare in my experience. He walked over to Camila, circling her like a shark. But I'm afraid your offer reveals a fundamental misunderstanding of the situation. He stopped in front of Leonardo. See, I don't need to choose between leverage and profit. I can have both. Victor nodded to his men. Tomorrow night, you will burn those records while I hold your beloved Camila. After that, she will remain my guest while you expand our operations. And Rosa Rivera will continue her nursing shifts, unaware that her safety depends on her daughter's good behavior and your complete cooperation. For how long? Leonardo asked, though he already knew the answer. Forever, of course. Welcome to the family, Montenegro. As Victor's men began to move, Camila grabbed Leonardo's hand. In that touch, he felt everything they might have been. Together, the quiet mornings, the shared dreams, the simple happiness of 2 people who had found each other against all odds. and he realized that some traps could only be escaped by walking deeper into them. The warehouse stood against the night sky like a monument to forgotten sins. Leonardo arrived at midnight as instructed, his hands steady despite the storm raging in his chest. Victor was already waiting, flanked by 3 men. Camila sat in a chair beside them, her wrists bound, but her eyes fierce with unbroken spirit. "You look terrible," Victor observed with amusement. "Love doesn't suit you, Montenegro." Leonardo ignored him, focusing on Camila. "Are you hurt?" "I'm fine," she said. Though he could see the fear she was trying to hide, Victor gestured toward a pile of cardboard boxes in the center of the warehouse. "Your father's legacy? 23 years of criminal enterprise, meticulously documented. I confess, I've been looking forward to this moment." Leonardo approached the boxes, his mind racing through the plan he'd spent 18 hours perfecting. Every detail had to work exactly as calculated, or everyone he loved would die. "Before I do this," Leonardo said, pulling out a lighter, "I want to know something." "Why didn't you just kill me and take over the business directly?" Victor laughed. "Because fear is more profitable than murder, and you're more useful to me alive. Dead martyrs inspire resistance. Living slaves inspire compliance. And after tonight, what guarantee do I have that you'll honor our agreement?" "You have my word as a businessman," Leonardo nodded, as if accepting this worthless promise. He flicked the lighter, its small flame dancing in the darkness. "Camila," he said quietly, "I need you to know something. That night at the gallery, when I first saw your painting, I wasn't just impressed by your technique. I saw something in it that I'd forgotten existed." "Leonardo," she whispered, understanding somehow that this was goodbye. "Hope," he continued, touching the flame to the first box. "You paint hope like it's something real, something that can triumph over darkness. I want you to remember that." Papers caught quickly, flames spreading from box to box. Victor watched with satisfaction as decades of evidence turned to ash and smoke. But Leonardo had spent the previous day doing more than just planning. He'd visited 3 separate locations, made 7 phone calls, and initiated a sequence of events that was already in motion. As the fire reached its peak, Leonardo's phone buzzed with an incoming call. He answered it without looking, putting it on speaker. "Victor Montenegro. This is Agent Sarah Chen with the FBI. We have a problem." Victor's smile faltered. 3 hours ago, a courier delivered copies of financial documents to our field office. Documents that detail money laundering operations involving Kozlov International and Montenegro Technologies. The same documents you're currently burning, according to our surveillance? Victor's face went white. Impossible. Those were the only copies. Leonardo smiled for the first time in days. "My father was paranoid, Victor. He kept 3 sets of records. You found one. I've been hiding the second set for 7 years. This morning I delivered the 3rd set to the FBI, along with a complete confession of my involvement and a detailed account of your methods." The warehouse doors exploded inward as FBI tactical teams swarmed the building. Victor's men reached for their weapons, but found themselves outnumbered 10 to 1. "You son of a bitch," Victor snarled, drawing a pistol and aiming it at Leonardo's chest. "If I'm going down, I'm taking you with me." "No," Camila said quietly, and Victor turned toward her voice in that split second of distraction. She threw herself sideways, chair and all, knocking into Victor's legs. His shot went wide, and FBI agents tackled him to the ground. As the chaos subsided, Leonardo knelt beside Camila, cutting through the ropes that bound her wrists. "Why?" she asked as he helped her to her feet. "Could have made a deal, found another way?" "Because some things are worth more than freedom," Leonardo said, looking into her eyes. "Your mother is safe. Victor's people have been arrested. And yes, I'm going to prison for a very long time." "How long?" "Agent Chen estimates 15 to 20 years with good behavior." Camila's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't look away. "You chose this. I chose you. I chose your safety. Over my freedom, your future over mine." Agent Chen approached them, her expression professional but not unkind. "Mr. Montenegro, We need to discuss the terms of your cooperation agreement. Leonardo nodded, then turned back to Camila one final time. There's something else. The documents. I turned over to the FBI, included evidence of Victor's other operations. By tomorrow, law enforcement agencies in 12 countries will be conducting raids. This ends with me, Camila. The cycle stops here. As the FBI led Leonardo toward the warehouse doors, he paused and looked back at her. "Write something beautiful," he said, paint hope triumphing over darkness. "And remember that sometimes love means letting go." Camila stood alone among the ashes of burning documents, watching the taillights of the FBI convoy disappear into the night. In her mind, she was already composing the painting she would create to honor this moment, a portrait of a man who chose sacrifice over selfishness, who found redemption in the act of losing everything. 5 years later, the Camila Rivera Community Art Center opened its doors in Millbrook. The centerpiece of the main gallery was a painting titled "The Weight of Love." It showed a figure silhouetted against flames, arms outstretched as if embracing both destruction and salvation. Visitors often asked about the inspiration for the piece. Camila would smile and tell them it was about a man who taught her that true love isn't possession, but protection. That sometimes the greatest act of love is the willingness to disappear from someone's life so they can live it fully. Leonardo Montenegro was released after serving 12 years of his sentence. By then, Camila had become a renowned artist, her work celebrated for its emotional depth and moral complexity. She never married, though she received many proposals. On the day of his release, Leonardo found a package waiting for him. Inside was a small watercolor painting of birds being fed in a park, light dancing across the canvas in impossible, beautiful ways. On the back, in delicate script, were 4 words: "Hope triumphs over darkness." Smiled, understanding that some stories don't end with reunions or second chances. Some stories end with the knowledge that love, real love, changes people so completely that they become capable of miracles. Leonardo never contacted Camila again. Sometimes, on quiet Sunday mornings, he would visit small galleries in distant cities and look for her work. And in each painting, he would find the same thing he'd seen that first night: hope made visible, light conquering shadow, love transformed into something eternal. The end.